So I'm on the couch with Branford Marsalis, which is very exciting. I'm here for Everything Jazz, which is a new home for jazz here in the UK. And it's a site packed with artist stories, interviews and exclusives from a dedicated team of curators, editors and writers, including me, Jane Cornwell. And it sells records from labels including Blue Note, Verve, Impulse, ECM and more. And it can be found on everythingjazz.com. So I'm going to introduce a man that needs no introduction, the three-time Grammy-winning saxophonist, instrumentalist, composer, band leader, and educator. Anything else? Branford Marsalis. Welcome to On the Couch, Jazz on the Couch. Beyond jazz, Branford has collaborated, or you have collaborated across pop, rock, classical music. You've worked with symphony orchestras, scored Tony-nominated Broadway productions, and soundtracks, including Ma Rainey's Black Bottom, co-founded the Musicians Village in New Orleans post-Hurricane Katrina, and established Marsalis Music, a platform for artistic growth. And your long-standing quartet, which includes, I'll just list the players because we should, pianist Joey Caldezzaro, bassist Eric Rivas, and drummer Justin Faulkner, the tightest band I've seen in a long, long time. They're a cornerstone of modern jazz. Albums including 2019's The Secret Between the Shadow and the Soul, so showcase the group's synergy. And now for the first time you've signed with Blue Note, and you're paying tribute to Keith Jarrett's beloved European Quartet with Jan Garbarek. That group's 1974 album, Belonging. That was a very long introduction. I'm going to let you speak now. Tell me why you chose to sign to Blue Note in the first place.
I mean, I've been on these big labels where jazz is a tertiary consideration, and it's fine. I mean, the catalogs were great, and they were supported to the extent that they could be. But the reality is that very large companies, you know, these guys keep their jobs by selling lots of records, and jazz has never been a kind of music that sells a lot of records. So the fiscal reality of the situation, you're placed where they can help you. They tried to help, but they were limited in what they could do. But in Blue Note, jazz is kind of the core of the
Did you grow up
recording.
listening to some of the vintage Blue Note
Of course.
stuff? Like?
All the Wayne Shorter records, you know, Juju, Night Dreamer, The All-Seeing Eye, and the one that I'm looking at, Witch Hunt. That's not the name of it, though. The one I forgot. But yeah, you know, and Schizophrenia, there's all these great records. And Art Blakey and the Jazz Messengers, they were also on Blue Note. Moaning was on Blue Note. Horace Silver's Song for My Father was on Blue Note. I could keep going. Capuchin Swing was a Jackie McLean record. Killing, great record. Sonny Rollins was on Blue Note. It's everybody.
It's all
the cats.
legacy is massive, and they're interesting because they're turning it over again with these young guys they're signing. Young. Why was it Keith Jarrett's 1974 album Belonging? What was it about that?
I mean, it sounds great. We like it. Keith wrote a bunch of great and memorable melodies, and it was recorded 51 years ago. So a lot of people aren't even aware that record exists.
But I understand that when you first heard Keith Jarrett, unlike the majority of people, when I heard the Colm concert as a kid,
yeah,
I just was blown away.
I was not blown away. No, it didn't move me. And the only mistake that I made was, you know, is that I made this, I was young too. I was 20 or 19 or something. And I made the stupid decision to make that one record be the metaphor for everything that Keith ever wrote. And said, oh, you know, like, yeah, I didn't like that first record, so I'm clearly not going to like the rest of them. And when my dear friend Kenny Kirkland put his headphones on my ears on a plane ride, we were flying to Germany, and it was my song. And when I heard the record, after about 5 minutes, he tried to take the headphones back, and I wouldn't let him have them. And when the plane landed, I have a great friend in Hamburg named Harold, and Harold said, what do you want to do? I said, we're going to the record store. And I bought every Keith Jarrett record I could find in the store.
So, what was it about Keith Jarrett wanting to have a European quartet? You know, what do you think that was?
I think it's a long, convoluted, kind of jazzy thing. I don't think it had anything to do with them being European. The American quartet, as they call it, their core experience in playing music is like the swing music of the 1930s and the 1940s. And even though they played avant-garde music, they played with Ornette Coleman and Stretched Out. All of those guys, their core musical experience as young people was the 1930s, 1940s big band. Keith was writing these songs that didn't adhere to those rules. You know, there's a reason why jazz musicians kind of play the same songs. There's all of these Broadway songs, and the way that they structure the songs lend themselves to the way they play. Keith was writing songs that did not have that structure, and those guys struggled to play those songs. And he needed to find musicians who had the certain kind of harmonic expansiveness that he needed to interpret his music. And he needed people who were young enough that they would do what he wants them to do.
Yeah.
Because playing with those veterans, they were kind of like, shut up, kid, you know, we'll take care of this. And you can hear it on a lot of the records. What they're playing is certainly not what he would have wanted them to play.
But certainly ECM has that kind of reputation for slightly wistful, pastoral, windswept melancholy, you know.
Right.
And when you listen to Belonging, there's a positive energy there. But when we juxtapose it with your recording, you sound very much like Branford Marsalis.
Well, we're Americans. I mean, it's a completely different cultural experience.
The difference? What would you say?
I mean, you know, I don't really know. I've never met Jan, so I don't know. But I'm just going to go out on a limb and say that when Jan was 7 years old, his first concert wasn't James Brown. So I'm just going to go out like and say, I'm going to wager that his first musical experience wasn't James Brown, followed by Seals and Crofts, and then Earth, Wind and Fire. So in everything that you learn, and I try to stress this to my students because they have such an aversion to learning earlier music. Everything you learn, you take with you. It doesn't turn you into a person from the 1930s. So all these pop music experiences that in the group we've all had, when like a song like Long As You Know You're Living Yours. I mean, we know what that's gonna sound like, you know, and so we just did what we would do on it.
Quite controversially, you said that some of the young jazzers now are a little bit too self-conscious in what they're doing, and that the music of the 30s and 40s that you loved, I mean, it was happy music. Simple as that. It was happy. It had swing. It was, you know.
Yeah, I mean, is it really controversial?
Well,
That's like saying it's controversial. Like this tree is taller than that tree. Oh my God, that's controversial. No, it's just this one's taller than the other one. No, what I said is that it's like a longer. The short version is that it is very difficult to get audiences to enjoy music that doesn't have lyrics attached to them. I mean, England is known for its words from way back, whether it's Chaucer or whether it's, you know, Willie the Shakes or, you know, or Johnson on all these guys. Instrumental music can be a stretch for modern audiences. So where they can relate to the music is if the music makes them feel a certain way. But the approach that a lot of modern musicians have, not in Europe, everywhere, it's like they only kind of listen to their own music, and most of that music is not melodic, and it is based on harmonic information, and there's no emotion attached to it. So if you want to play for audiences bigger than a club where you're playing for fellow musicians, you're going to have to make an adaptation. You're going to have to modify this thinking, and the way to do it is to listen to music that was perpetually happy. It's not like I'm saying start a 30s band, but I listen to 30s music. I've been listening to it for years, and when we did the Keith record, I had no problem not using that.
Touchstones from then.
Oh my God, there's so many of them. Paul Whiteman's band, Fletcher Henderson's band, the Mills Blue Ribbon Band, the California Ramblers, Adrian Rollini, King Oliver, Louis Armstrong's Hot Five, Duke Ellington. I'm forgetting people. There's so many. There's a guy, Tiny Parham. There's a lot of these
Tell me
guys.
about your growing up. Was this something that your parents, that your family, that went and, you know, that you were listening to?
No, I stumbled into that stuff later in life. I was an R&B kid. My
James
dad played
Brown,
jazz. Oh, I mean, that's just, you know, En Vogue, the Confunction, the Commodores. And I was a big Led Zeppelin guy, too. And, you know, I used to listen to Led Zeppelin and Hendrix and Bob Marley and all of these things. You know, that's my mate, Roger. Yeah, I didn't really pay attention to jazz until I turned 19 or 20. And I heard and saw my brother playing with Art Blakey and went, might be okay. And then my roommate Marvin Smitty Smith, this fantastic drummer, he owned those early Miles Davis records with Herbie Hancock and Wayne Shorter on them. Nefertiti and Miles Smiles. I'd never heard those records before because in my mind, Herbie Hancock had a band called Headhunters and Wayne Shorter was in a band called Weather Report. I didn't know they played with Miles. And when I heard those records, I was like, wow, now I would like to play that kind of jazz.
All this info is clearly gone into the pop. With something like Belonging, how much of it did you think, okay, I want to change this up a bit, I want to put my own...
I didn't want to change anything. We played the songs exactly as Keith wrote them. We took solos on songs that they didn't take solos on, but I don't like tampering with people's music. Art Blakey very cruelly disabused me of that notion when I was a young man.
How?
Well, I have to clean it up a little bit. He wanted me to play a ballad because I was a terrible ballad player. So I started changing all the songs, chords to a Gershwin song to fit what I could play. And he let me have it. Because he says, you know, what the hell do you think you're doing? I said, well, man, and I was defensive. I was a stupid kid. I said, oh, I'm just trying to make this hip. And he says, you're trying to make it hip? I said, what do you know about George Gershwin? He says, you know he wrote oratorios. You know he wrote an opera. Do you know he wrote some of the most important pop songs of the 1930s? I said, what's the point? The point is, he said, what's the point? He says, the point is, he doesn't need your sorry ass to make him hip. He's already hip. You're the one who sucks.
Yeah.
What makes you think you have the skill and talent to change this man's music? Play the song as is. And I was very furious, but 5 years later, I was very grateful.
You kept the sequencing as well on Belonging, you know, which is something that...
Yeah, it just made sense to do it. I mean, if you're going to play the record, play it in the sequence. When we play it in concert, we don't play it in sequence. But yeah, why not? It was.
Yeah. In terms of the sustained excellence, which you've done for so long with the band, you know, just tell me your philosophy on that. You know, how do you keep it at a certain level and keep it fresh sounding?
We have to keep studying. We have to think of ourselves as students, not as finished products. And I've listened to so much music, and you know, if we're playing like jazz, and the community, we have 100 records that we all know. So I'm gonna sound like them. But if I find an additional 100 records from across the board, from popular music, like right now I'm listening to a singer from Lebanon named Warda, W-A-R-D-A. And she's no longer with us, and a younger contemporary named Fairuz. And I listen to this stuff not just perpetually.
Yeah, Fairuz.
Yeah, I listen to it constantly. And of course, musicians would say, well, why are you listening to that? I say, because it's good. I say, well, what do you hope to gain from that? I said, I don't know. I'm just listening to it because it's good. I'm not creating a mathematical scenario where I'm going to listen to Fairuz, and when I find two chords that I really like that I don't play, I'm going to put that in a song. That's so calculating that it never really works emotionally.
So everything is kind of from the gut, is from feeling authentic. But in going forward with Blue Note, will there be an original album next, do you think? I
don't know, maybe not. I don't really feel, as a person who's made like 18 original albums, I mean, they don't sell any better than the other ones. I mean, that's not, I love playing jazz. Some guys think of themselves as innovators, and we're just four jackasses, and we love playing jazz. Really, I mean, we're really silly towards one another. We hang out all the time, and we listen to the music all the time. We're not out here trying to invent a new sound or, you know, because that doesn't work anyway. You know, if music is really innovative, then history has shown that people will hate it first and grow to like it.
How are you feeling about the Comp concert now?
I can't get with it. That's just, there's certain records where, you know, I love Keith and I love his playing. It's just, yeah, that didn't work for me. But Facing You works for me. Facing You is like one of the most incredible, that's an incredible solo piano record.
Well, you look amazing. The album's incredible. And Branford Marsalis, thank you for talking to me.
It's my pleasure. Thank you. It's great chatting with you.